Welcome to the Love Story with Lisa channel. Today, we're bringing you a brand new story. Twin sisters, the elder is a treasure, while the younger one is optional. Even if she exists or not, it doesn't matter. She is destined to be disliked. Introduction: I scored 744 points on the college entrance examination. The whole family was shocked. My mother looked at me with suspicion and asked, "Did you switch exam papers with your sister?" I asked back, "Uncle Raymond, who was the man you were walking hand in hand with yesterday while shopping with Mom?" My mother's face changed instantly. Heh. She clearly knows I'm a crazy person, yet she still insists on provoking me. That concludes the introduction. Please enjoy the story. My father looked at us suspiciously. My mother sternly shouted, "What nonsense are you talking about? How could your mother possibly go shopping with another man yesterday? Then the day before yesterday?" I said, "No. Not the day before yesterday either." "Oh. Then maybe I saw wrong." My mother was furious with nowhere to vent her anger. "You didn't even see clearly, yet you're talking nonsense." I asked calmly, "Then did you see my sister and me switch exam papers?" My mother froze. "If you didn't see it either, then why are you talking nonsense?" She snapped angrily, "Can't a mother ask her daughter a simple question? Your grades have always been terrible, yet you suddenly got such a high score in the college entrance exam. Am I not allowed to doubt you?" My face remained calm under her questioning. This wasn't the first time I had been wronged, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. I said, "Mom, you were a candidate many years ago. It's understandable that you don't know the rules of today's college entrance examination. I can understand that, but at the very least, you should ask my sister. The college entrance exam now requires fingerprint verification. Even though my sister and I look exactly the same, how could our fingerprints possibly be identical? So how could I switch exam papers with her?" My mother's face darkened. "I only asked you one question and you fired back with 10. If you didn't do anything wrong, why are you so eager to defend yourself?" I laughed. Just now, when Mom was angrily defending herself. Was it because she had done something with a guilty conscience, so Mom really did go shopping hand in hand with another man? My mother's face turned pale with anger. "Scarlett Sue. My sister's name is Charlotte Sue, and my name is Scarlett Sue. Together, our names mean something like embroidered flowers on brocade, but Charlotte is the treasure, Scarlett. Well, it doesn't matter whether I exist or not. I was born destined to be disliked." My father spoke calmly, "Let's talk about things logically. Scarlett, your usual grades aren't good. Yet you became the top scorer of the entire province in the college entrance exam. It's normal for your mother to want a clear explanation. Explain it carefully. Don't provoke your mother." I replied, "There's nothing to explain. I earned those scores with my own ability." My mother raised her voice immediately. "Have you ever scored higher than your sister on any test? Since childhood your academic performance has always been mediocre, neither good nor bad. But your sister has always ranked first. From elementary school to high school, she's always been a 3 good student and an outstanding class cadre. So how is it possible that you scored 744 points in the college entrance exam while she only got 506 points? My sister and I are twin sisters. She is older than me by 1 hour. Although we look identical on the outside, our personalities are completely different. I am the famous village idiot beauty of the entire family, sharp-tongued, thick-skinned, useless at everything. But when it comes to eating, gossiping, or arguing, I'm always number one. My sister, on the other hand, has always been the pride of the family. She's the kind of child every parent envies, the perfect other people's child. Everything she does is excellent. After school she attends countless extracurricular classes, music, chess, calligraphy, painting, she knows them all. Whenever the school holds an event, she's always the host. She also performs on stage. She has even won prizes at the sports meet. In short, it seems like there is nothing she cannot do. The light shining from my sister is so dazzling that everyone always compares me to her. During holidays and festivals, I hate it when guests come to the house, and I hate visiting relatives even more. Whenever guests arrive, my mother always makes my sister perform all kinds of talents, and me, I stand beside her like an idiot, just background decoration. I'm not even qualified to be a servant. Because I'm always clumsy. If I'm not breaking teacups, then I'm spilling tea on the guests, of course. I do it on purpose. My mother would scold me loudly. Why did you spill tea on Aunt Helen? Get out, you're completely useless. Everything you do causes trouble. Amid my mother's scolding, I would hide in my room, but before long, some relative would drag me back out again. They would insist that my sister and I stand together so they could compare us. We are the same height, the same weight, but somehow they can always tell the difference, and then they endlessly praise my sister. Uncle Zhao would say, "Little Charlotte is so sensible. She's been self-disciplined in her studies since she was young. She never causes her parents to worry." Aunt Grace would sigh, "That's right. If my useless son could be even half as good as Charlotte, I'd wake up laughing in my sleep." Aunt May would shake her head. Whether studying works or not depends on talent. Without talent, no matter how hard you try, it's useless. Aunt Helen would point at me. "Look, Scarlett and Charlotte look exactly the same, yet their talents are worlds apart." Everyone would express regret for me. One after another, they lamented that iron could not be forged into steel. "Scarlett, you have the same face as your sister. Why can't you learn even half of her strengths? Scarlett, you need to work harder. Look at your sister, she sings well, dances well, and her grades are excellent. Why can't you accomplish anything? All you know how to do is eat. If you don't work hard, you won't even be able to find a job in the future. How will you support yourself? You can't live your whole life living off others, can you? How long do you think you can keep living off your parents? When your parents grow old, they'll still have to rely on you to support them in their later years. What, do you expect your sister to support the whole family by herself?" My relatives had long been used to lecturing and belittling me. Because of my existence, they always had endless things to say. No one cared how these comparisons struck at my fragile young heart. Other people didn't care, but I cared about myself. I hated it when these relatives came to our house. But when I was little, I had no way to resist. If I ever talked back, my mother would beat me mercilessly. She forced me to be obedient, to behave myself, and to allow my relatives to bully me without resistance. When I was 14 or 15 years old, I stopped being afraid. I no longer had the patience to deal with those relatives. If I couldn't avoid them, then I would attack first. One time, Aunt Grace asked me, "Scarlett, how many points did you get on this exam? What rank are you in your class? Have you improved at all?" I asked her back, "Aunt Grace, has my cousin Kevin found a job yet? After all, he already graduated from university. Why is he still unemployed, staying home every day living off uncle and aunt? It must be really hard for you too." Aunt Grace's face instantly turned ugly. She sighed deeply and started scolding Kevin for making her worry so much. Then Aunt Linda said, "Charlotte is such a sensible child. She's capable and understanding. In the future she will definitely become an outstanding student at a famous university. There's no need to worry about her not finding a good husband. She'll enjoy wealth and prosperity for the rest of her life. Scarlett, you should also. I interrupted her immediately. Aunt Linda, didn't my cousin Olivia break up with her boyfriend, or has she not yet? Well, if that's the case, she'll eventually get married anyway. Once she marries and moves away, you and Mom might not see each other for years. What if you get sick one day and there's no one by your bedside to take care of you? And if Olivia gets bullied by her in-laws? Or if her future husband becomes violent, she'll be so far away that we won't even be able to help. How miserable. Aunt Linda's eyes instantly filled with tears. It's not like I'm not worried about that. She said bitterly, I've said everything I could, but she just won't listen. The cabbage I raised for so many years ended up being taken away by a pig from another province. My life is really miserable. Then Aunt May waved her hand. Charlotte, Scarlett, come here and report to Auntie how you did on this exam. I cut her off before she could finish. Aunt May, why did my cousin Mia drop out of school when she just started middle school? She should at least finish high school and go to college. Otherwise she'll be useless like me and become a laughingstock among relatives. Aunt May's face darkened immediately. Don't mention her again, she said coldly. Just pretend I never gave birth to that child. Then Aunt Helen also joined the conversation. Scarlett, you must study hard. Only if you have real ability will you avoid being bullied by men in the future. I asked her, Aunt Helen, does Uncle Raymond still hit you? You've done so much for him all these years. Why doesn't he cherish you even a little? When will you finally become the head of your own household? By the time I finished talking to everyone, the entire room was in chaos. People were crying everywhere. It was almost New Year's, yet everyone in the room was holding their heads and sobbing. No one had the energy left to criticize me anymore. Facts proved that magic can only be defeated by magic. I used to avoid my relatives everywhere I went. But now, my relatives use every possible method to avoid me. They are terrified I might find someone to gossip with. This situation has both advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that no one compares me with my sister anymore. As for them speaking badly about me behind my back, I truly don't care. The disadvantage is that my mother became extremely angry. She said I had offended all our relatives and neighbors. I refused to accept that accusation. I argued back. Why didn't you say anything when they insulted me? My mother scolded me immediately. You're just a child. What kind of insult is that? They say those things because they want what's best for you. I replied, and when I say those things to them, it's also because I want what's best for them. When I say Kevin should find a job, Olivia shouldn't marry so far away, and Mia should go back to school, aren't those things also for their own good? My mother exploded with rage. She grabbed a clothes hanger and started beating me. I say one sentence and you argue back with one sentence. Look at your sister, has she ever talked back to me like this? I had already guessed my mother would hit me, so I ran away first. Standing at the doorway, I turned back and said, Did my sister ever even get the chance to talk back to you? Since she was little, have you ever scolded her even once? My mother chased after me while shouting, Your sister never does anything wrong, why would I scold her? I yelled back while running, then let the relatives bully her the moment they see her and see whether she makes mistakes or not. My mother chased me across several rows of houses with the clothes hanger, but in the end she still couldn't catch me, because eventually she couldn't even find where I had run off to. My mother never liked me, probably because I'm too crazy. The moment I open my mouth, I offend everyone. My relatives often compare my sister's mouth with mine. They always say the same thing. these two sisters are truly like heaven and earth. Charlotte Sue has a sweet voice and a gentle personality. She is as lovable as can be. But Scarlet Sue has a sharp, shameless mouth, as annoying as a person can possibly be. Being sharp-tongued is easy to understand, but thick-skinned means that no matter how much my mother beats me, I still refuse to submit. Someone like me, someone exactly like this, somehow managed to score 744 points on the college entrance examination. Not only did my mother refuse to believe it, the entire family was shocked. They surrounded me, bombarding me with endless questions. For example, did I cheat? Did my sister and I switch exam papers? And my mother actually believed that, in the past, my mother had wronged me countless times. In the past, my mother had wronged me countless times. She had even forced me to apologize for things I didn't do. And today, when she couldn't find anything else to criticize me for, she questioned why I scored 744 points while my sister only scored 506. How could that possibly be my fault? I said. It's normal that my sister didn't perform well. Mom and Dad put too much pressure on her. Her performance during the college entrance exam was unstable. Before I could finish the most important part, Mrs. Sue abruptly cut me off. Even if she performed badly, that's not a reason for you to score so high. I laughed. Yes, my mother had spent enormous amounts of money cultivating Charlotte Sue for more than 10 years. Yet the most perfect, most outstanding daughter in her heart had still failed to enter the elite 985 or 211 universities. Meanwhile, I, a crazy girl with poor grades who had always been disliked by her, suddenly made a stunning comeback and became the top scorer of the entire province in the college entrance examination. How could she not be furious? I smiled and asked, in Mom and Dad's eyes, I'm simply not worthy of scoring over 700 points, right? No matter how badly my sister performs, I should only score around 400 or 500. Isn't that what you think? My mother angrily pointed at me. With your stable middle-of-the-pack performance for the past 3 years, why should I believe you could suddenly exceed your normal ability and achieve such an excellent result in the college entrance exam? I frowned slightly. Mom, do you realize that the full score for each subject is 150 points? If I only want to score 120 points, is that difficult? Every time I take an exam, I have to calculate precisely how many questions I should get wrong and which questions to miss so that my score is exactly 30 points lower. My father looked confused. Scarlett, what do you mean by that? I smiled. If the two of you had paid just a little attention to me, you would have noticed something. Ever since I entered high school, every single exam with a full score of 150, I always scored exactly 120 points. Not 1 point more, not 1 point less, and I maintained that stability for 3 entire years. Don't you think that might have been intentional? My father looked even more puzzled. You mean you deliberately scored lower than your sister, but why would you do that? Because I couldn't surpass her. My mother sneered with disdain. So you finally admit the truth. You simply couldn't beat her in exams. I burst out laughing. But didn't I beat her this time? My mother slammed the table. Stop talking in that sarcastic tone. What does it mean if you randomly score high once? If you could score high every single time, that would be real ability. I replied calmly, I don't need to score high every time. As long as I scored 744 points on this college entrance exam, that's enough to win. My mother was so angry she couldn't speak. My father intervened again. Scarlett, stop arguing with your mother. Explain why you deliberately scored low on your regular exams. That you should ask Mom. I looked directly at Mrs. Sue. When I was in first grade, did I ever score higher than Charlotte? My mother frowned impatiently. You've said so much nonsense. How would I know which sentence you're talking about? Just this one sentence, I said. No matter how well you do in exams, it's useless. My mother fell silent. I asked her, Mom, have you ever thought about how much those words hurt me? Even now, I still don't understand why you said that no matter how well I did in exams, it would be useless. My mother denied it immediately. I never said such a thing. Stop making things up. I turned to my father. Dad, do you remember, back then, you even criticized Mom and said she shouldn't say that in front of me. My father hesitated. Your mother just said it casually. It was such a small matter. You don't need to take it to heart. A small matter. I felt deeply disappointed. My father's nature truly had never changed. I said slowly, to you too, it might be a small matter, but to me, that blow lasted for decades. From that moment on, I stopped wanting to do better than Charlotte Sue. Because I didn't want to be hurt by Mom again. My father was considered a good father in everyone's eyes. He never beat us. He never scolded us. But every time my mother scolded me, he always tried to smooth things over. He knew my mother had wronged me, yet he never stood up for me. He never solved the problem fairly. He always sided with my mother and told me not to argue with her. He even forced me to apologize to her, even when he knew I had done nothing wrong. Perhaps in my father's view, it didn't matter if a child was wronged. After all, children would forget when they grew up. But a wife? A wife must never be offended. I don't know whether other children who were wronged by their parents during childhood truly forget about it when they grow up. But I cannot forget. Every wound I suffered, I remember clearly, every single one. And my mother, she would never admit she had hurt me. Whenever I mention how she wronged me in the past, she always denies it firmly. She insists it never happened. She says I'm making things up to smear her. This time was no different. Now she was once again claiming she had never said those words. I didn't want to argue with her anymore. She had wronged me too many times. The more I talked about it, the more uncomfortable I felt. So I pointed towards Charlotte Sue's room and said, "You'd better go check on her." My mother suddenly came back to her senses and rushed into my sister's room immediately. My father followed behind her. Ever since the college entrance exam results were released, Charlotte Sue had never left her room. She had simply been sitting in front of her computer, staring blankly. My mother comforted her gently. "It's okay, Charlotte. You just didn't perform well this time. Next year we'll fight again." My father echoed her words. "That's right. Just repeat one more year and prepare again." Charlotte spoke softly. "I'll attend a private university. With her score, she could enter some private colleges." But my mother immediately rejected the idea. "No, with your score, how could you possibly go to a private university? Listen to me, any university below the 211 ranking will not even be considered. I'm not forcing you to get into Peking University or Tsinghua University," my mother said. "But at the very least, you must get into a 985 or 211 university. Otherwise, how will our family face anyone?" My father added, "Don't think too much about it. Study for one more year. Next year your score will increase by 100 points. It's not a big deal." My mother immediately objected. "Only 100 points? That won't be enough. No matter what, she must score over 700 points." Charlotte Sue said nothing. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. I went to open the door. The moment I looked outside, I was so startled that I turned around and ran. Outside the door were Aunt Linda, Aunt Grace, Aunt May, and a whole group of relatives. Aunt May shouted, "Scarlet Sue! Don't run. If I didn't run, what was I supposed to do? Stand there and accept their praise? I didn't like hearing them criticize me before, and I liked even less hearing their hypocritical compliments now. I rushed back to my room at lightning speed and slammed the door shut. But then, almost immediately, I quietly cracked the door open again. My gossip-loving soul was burning with curiosity. I still wanted to hear what they were saying. My mother came out to greet them. "Why are all of you here?" Uncle Zhao laughed loudly. "We came to see the top scorer. Congratulations to your family for producing such an outstanding student." My mother sighed awkwardly. "Oh, Charlotte didn't do very well." Aunt May said, "Does that matter? Scarlett did well, didn't she? Isn't it the same thing? With such a high score, getting into Peking University or Tsinghua University won't be a problem. She might even get into Harvard, right?" Aunt Helen added, "I always knew this girl had potential. She's eloquent, she has personality, and she has guts. With her ability, no matter which man she marries in the future, she won't be bullied. Anyway, her fate will definitely be better than mine." Aunt Grace chimed in, "In the future Scarlett will graduate from a famous university. Finding a good job won't be a problem. Companies everywhere will fight to recruit her. She's 100 times better than that useless son of mine." Listening to them, I almost laughed out loud. These were the exact same people who used to mock me behind my back, and now these same people were praising me to the skies. How could they change their tone so quickly? I glanced toward my sister's room. The door was tightly closed. After the college entrance exams had ended, all the relatives had crazily surrounded Charlotte Su. They demanded that she estimate her score. They suggested which universities she should apply to, and which majors she should choose. According to them, Peking University and Tsinghua University were the most basic options. Some relatives even encouraged her to aim for Harvard and the Ivy League. In short, they all said that with my sister's ability, she should attend a world-famous university. Every day there were endless discussions in the family group chat. Every message sounded incredibly impressive. Whenever I sat in the living room with Charlotte, her phone kept ringing non-stop. If she didn't reply, they would tag her even more enthusiastically. My mother would even come out and urge her, "Charlotte, everyone in the group is looking for you. Reply to them." So she would send a simple smiling emoji into the group chat. Then the relatives would start discussing even more passionately. They split into two factions over which university she should attend and which major she should choose. They argued fiercely every day. But today, the moment the college entrance exam results were released, the group chat exploded. Every doubt pointed toward me. All kinds of suspicions. All kinds of speculation. They simply couldn't believe my score. Meanwhile, they showed all kinds of sympathy toward my sister. And now they had come to congratulate me. Clearly, they had already accepted the fact that I, the crazy, academically weak girl, had made a stunning comeback and become the top scorer of the college entrance exam. But then my mother said something, and suddenly, everyone fell silent. She said, "She hasn't even received an admission letter yet. Who knows whether that university is really good or not? Maybe it's just a fluke." My sister's failure had already made her unhappy. She was worried that I might also end up disappointing her. The relatives looked at each other. Finally, Uncle Zhao hesitated and said, "Scarlett didn't really cheat, did she?" Aunt May shook her head. "That's impossible. Cheating in the college entrance exam is almost impossible now. The supervision is extremely strict." Aunt Grace said, "Could it be that the two sisters switched identities to take the exam?" Someone nodded, looking at these scores. "It does seem like someone swapped papers." My mother immediately denied it. "The college entrance exam requires fingerprint verification now." Even identical twins can't switch identities during the exam. Aunt May said, then Scarlett must have gotten this result through her own ability. The admission letter will arrive sooner or later. There shouldn't be any problem, don't worry. My mother sighed. I'm not worried about her, I'm worried about Charlotte. And so the topic immediately shifted to Charlotte Sue. One relative after another started comforting my mother. Don't worry so much. Charlotte will repeat a year and definitely perform better next time than Scarlett. You already have one promising daughter. That's not bad at all. Don't expect too much. Yes, don't put too much pressure on the child. But my mother shook her head. It's not the same. Do you know how much effort I've put into raising Charlotte? From piano to chess, from calligraphy to painting, she's proficient in everything. And yet she still couldn't even get into a prestigious university. All those years of my hard work and dedication, was it all in vain? I never expected Scarlett to score so well. It was just an unexpected piece of luck. How could the two situations possibly be the same? She only knows how to memorize books by heart. Maybe this high score came purely from rote memorization. Just wait until she enters university. Her true ability will be exposed. And when the school sends her back, that will be even more embarrassing. I quietly closed the door. Even now, my mother still didn't believe in me. Forget it, I didn't need her trust anyway. It would be better if I just focused on writing my novel. Over the next few days, my house was lively every single day. Guests came and went constantly. Today, Aunt Grace brought her grandson and asked me to tutor him. In the past, they wouldn't even bother to glance at me. The moment she stepped into the house, she shouted, "Charlotte! Charlotte!" When my sister didn't respond, she immediately changed her target. "Scarlett, come help Leo with his homework. You're the top scorer, after all. Surely you know how to teach a little." I had no patience with children. Leo refused to listen and kept running around trying to play. So I scolded him until he burst into tears. Aunt Grace immediately looked displeased. "Oh, Scarlett, don't scold him like that. Explain it slowly to him." I absolutely hated it when she kept interrupting me while I was teaching. "Leo, come drink some water. Leo, come here and eat an apple. Leo, Scarlett is doing this for your own good. Listen carefully while she teaches you." Leo, I finally lost my patience. I threw the workbook onto the table. "Take him home and teach him yourself." Aunt Grace slapped her thigh. "Oh dear. If even a college student like you can't teach him, then what are we supposed to do?" I snapped back angrily. "With a grandmother like you standing there the whole time, let alone a college student, even a Harvard professor wouldn't be able to teach him." She sneered sarcastically. "So the top scorer only has this level of ability? You can't even tutor a child as well as Charlotte." I scolded her right back. "Then why didn't you go ask Charlotte instead of coming to me? You didn't raise this college student, so why should I work hard for your grandson?" Aunt Grace finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She was furious and humiliated. My mother hurried over to apologize for me. The very next day, Aunt Helen brought a young man with her. She proudly announced that she had come to introduce a marriage prospect for me. I was completely stunned. Who said I needed to get married? Aunt Helen smiled. "You're already 18 years old. You can start dating when you enter university. Once you start university, you'll be busy with studies and won't have time to meet boys. It's better to settle your marriage early. That way your parents will worry less in the future." Who says you must date once you enter university? If you don't date in university, are you supposed to wait until after graduation? By then you'll already be old. All the good men will have been chosen by others. Is it impossible to live this life without getting married? That's absolutely impossible, Aunt Helen said firmly. Women are born to get married. A woman who doesn't marry and doesn't have children is incomplete. I interrupted her. Marry someone who commits domestic violence like your husband? Working all day, then coming home to endless housework, and still getting beaten, scolded, and looked down upon. If that kind of life is what you call perfect, then I'd rather remain imperfect. Aunt Helen's face turned red with anger. This girl really doesn't know what's good for her. I'm only doing this for your own good. Then thank you very much, I said, but you don't need to be good to me. You should think about how to climb out of that burning pit you're living in. Then I turned to the young man she had brought and asked, do you dare marry a woman like me? The young man shook his head frantically and ran away without looking back. Aunt Helen huffed angrily. Scarlet Sue, I'm telling you, you'll regret this. That young man was very honest. I was planning to introduce him to Charlotte. You only got this chance because you got into university, and now you scared him away. My mother also scolded me. Your aunt meant well. If you hadn't gotten into university, who would introduce a boyfriend to you? I laughed. So whether I can get married or not depends on whether I get into university. If I fail the exam, would that mean I'm not qualified to marry for the rest of my life? Aunt Helen snorted. If you don't get into university, then you can only marry an ordinary man. I asked her in return, if you truly believe that a woman can only marry a good man if she attends university, then why didn't you send your own daughters to university? Her husband, Uncle Raymond, always favored sons over daughters, but she had given birth to 2 girls. Because of that, he often beat her. He refused to let the girls continue studying. After finishing middle school, he forced them to go out and work to earn money. Uncle Raymond himself had no real skills. Every day he gambled and drank, stretching out his hand to demand money from his wife and daughters. Aunt Helen had always been weak and submissive. She once wanted to support her daughters through school, but she couldn't fight against her husband. I had always wondered why she didn't divorce him and raise her daughters alone. Now I finally understood. Without a man beside her, she simply didn't know how to live. Aunt Helen was rendered speechless by my words. Furious, she stormed out. My mother wanted to scold me again. I went back into my room and slammed the door shut. That night, a sudden scream came from Charlotte's room. Ah! I jolted awake and rushed in. I saw her smashing her head against the wall, again and again, screaming wildly. I quickly grabbed her and held her tightly. Blood was already flowing from her forehead. My mother rushed in at the same time, and slapped me across the face. Scarlet Sue. What are you doing? Being slapped for no reason, I shouted angrily. Why are you hitting me? She still wanted to hit me again, but my father stopped her. Pointing at me, she scolded angrily. Why did you hit your sister? Do you think just because you got into college you can bully her? Let me tell you something. In my eyes, you're not even worth one of her toes. I sneered. So in your eyes, I'm not even worth one of my sister's toes? What did you say? She grew even more furious. I helped my sister up and shouted loudly, my sister is sick. Why didn't you hurry and take her to the hospital? My mother snapped angrily. What sickness could she possibly have? She was perfectly fine during the day. And now you come here and start hitting her. I was so furious that I shouted, she has depression. She's had it for a long time. You're her mother and you don't know anything, you only know how to force her. Haven't you already driven her crazy enough? Do you want to push her to death too? Look at her yourself, she's already unconscious. What illness? I didn't want to argue with her anymore, so I turned to my father and said, "If you don't want to lose your outstanding daughter, take her to the hospital right now." This time, my father finally stopped obediently listening to my mother. He hurriedly carried my sister out and rushed her to the hospital. My mother followed after him. I stood alone in the empty living room, thinking about the moment Charlotte Sue slammed her head against the wall. I suddenly felt like crying. She had been sick for a long time already. But our parents didn't know. A few days earlier, I had accidentally noticed many fresh wounds on her wrist. That was when I realized she was ill. I tried to persuade her to go to the hospital, but she simply smiled and told me she was fine. She also told me not to tell our parents or anyone else. I knew my sister was extremely proud. Year after year, she had always been praised. She always wanted to be the best, perfect in every way. She couldn't bear the thought of people believing she wasn't good enough at something. She couldn't let anyone know she had a psychological illness, so she showed everyone a smiling face, making people believe she was cheerful, outstanding, and happy. But she had been thinking too much. Inside, Charlotte Sue and I were complete opposites. She stuffed all her negative emotions deep inside her heart. Her body was filled with garbage, so her heart became sick. I was the opposite. I never absorbed other people's negativity. Instead, I vented the negativity in my own heart. Whoever provoked me, I paid them back. So although I had endured many blows in life, my mental state was actually very healthy. The next day, they returned from the hospital. My sister had bandages wrapped around her head, but she was still smiling as usual, looking as if nothing had happened. My mother muttered irritably, "Depression? What depression? If you don't do well, then all the years of effort I put into you have gone down the drain." And I didn't complain. What right do you have to complain? I looked at my sister anxiously. She spoke with a guilty tone, "Mom, I'm sorry. I'll study for another year and try to get more than 700 points on next year's exam." My mother said angrily, "Even if you don't try, it doesn't matter anymore. Anyway, you've already embarrassed me." Although my sister was smiling, her lips were trembling and her eyes were filled with tears. I couldn't take it anymore. I scolded my mother. "Who says you must go to college? Who says you must attend a prestigious university? Can't you stop forcing her?" My mother shouted back angrily, "That sounds nice coming from you. Then why are you secretly studying so hard? Why do you want to get into a prestigious university? If I don't push her, then you give up your place and let your sister study instead." I laughed. How can I give it up? This is the year 123, not the outdated methods from 20 years ago. 20 years ago people could still impersonate someone else to attend college. That loophole has long been closed. No one can replace anyone now. My mother snapped, "Stop making excuses. You're just selfish. You can't bear to give the opportunity to your sister." "Fine," I sneered. "I'm selfish. But aren't you selfish too? If you weren't selfish, why don't you think about her? Why don't you ask what she actually wants?" My mother slammed the table hard and shouted, "I'm her mother. Her life is arranged by me. Everything I ask her to do is for her own good." I raised my voice even louder. "Don't dress it up so nicely. You're doing it for your own shameful vanity. You feel proud when people praise you for having an outstanding daughter. You don't like me because I embarrass you. Deep down, you look down on me. Even if I became the top scholar, it wouldn't change that. Now that my sister has made you lose face, you're forcing her to repeat the year and study again. Isn't that selfish? My mother and I had argued before, but it had always been about my own matters. This was the first time the two of us had argued so fiercely because of my sister. Seeing us fighting like this, my sister was so frightened that she started crying. Stop arguing. Scarlett. Please stop talking. Later, I realized that these parents truly didn't understand what depression was. As long as my sister looked sad or distressed, my mother would accuse her of being ungrateful. She complained endlessly. Did I starve you? Did I leave you without clothes? Ever since you were little, if you wanted something, I bought it for you. Even if you didn't want it, I still bought it for you. I spent so much money sending you to piano lessons, painting classes, dance classes, calligraphy classes. Do you know how many people envy you? And you're still not satisfied? You still dare complain? My sister's eyes glistened with tears, but on her lips, she still forced a pleasing smile. She said to my mother, "Mom, I'm sorry. From now on, I won't be like this anymore." My heart ached when I saw her like that. I couldn't hold it in and scolded my mother again. My sister isn't being ungrateful. If you don't understand, then ask the doctor. And it's not like my sister begged you to spend money on all those training classes. You spent that money to buy vanity and face for yourself, and now you blame my sister for it. Another huge argument erupted between my mother and me, all because of my sister. My mother kept complaining endlessly at home. The older relatives in our family chat group also chimed in, saying all sorts of things. They wrapped their cruelty in the disguise of sympathy, but every day they were really just sprinkling salt onto my sister's wounds. I told my sister to leave the group. If you don't see it, it won't bother you. But she shook her head. Mom will get angry. A kind person always thinks too much about others. They don't want to hurt anyone, but in the end, they allow others to hurt them. Kind people also don't argue. Only I, the crazy one, kept fighting for her in that group chat. Finally, one night, my sister ran away from home. My mother assumed she had simply sneaked out to play. She immediately asked in the group chat, "Is Xiao Jin at anyone's house? Help me look for her. Also check the nearby internet cafes. This dead girl doesn't listen anymore." Some relatives in the group began complaining. It's just that she didn't get into college. Is that really such a big deal? Why are you tormenting the girl like this? Look at Scarlett, she's so sensible. Yeah. I used to think Xiao Jin was very good. Why is she like this now? Sigh. I still like Scarlett better. Since she was little, she's never caused adults to worry. She's really such a sensible child. I typed a long message in the group chat. My sister was still in that group. Can everyone please be a little careful with what you say? Before, when you were flattering my sister, how did you act? You begged her to tutor your children and nieces and nephews. At that time you spoke so nicely. Back then, every single day, you all stepped on me. Now you've turned around, praising me while stepping on my sister. Is that interesting? Relatives like these. I had always despised them since I was little, and now, I despise them even more. In the future, don't bother contacting me or my sister anymore. I find all of you disgusting. The group suddenly fell silent. There are some relatives you simply cannot put on a pedestal. The more respect you show them, the more arrogant they become. But when someone crazy like me turns ruthless and cuts off all ties, there's nothing they can do about it. I found my sister on a bridge. When she saw me, she smiled. I knew it, she said softly. Only you would come looking for me. My eyes stung when I saw her smile. She clearly wanted to cry, yet she was forcing herself to smile. I forced a smile too and comforted her. That's not true. Everyone is out looking for you. Mom and Dad are searching too. She laughed until tears streamed down her face. You're wrong, she said. What I meant was, only you could find me. Because only I knew the truth. She wasn't being ungrateful. She really didn't want to live anymore. I couldn't endure it any longer. I threw my arms around her and burst into tears. My sister gently patted my back, trying to comfort me. I'm fine, Scarlett. Don't cry. But I couldn't control myself. In the end, my sister started crying too. Late at night, the two of us hugged each other and cried on that deserted bridge. Who in this world could understand how we felt? No one. No one could understand us. Both my phone and my sister's phone kept ringing non-stop. But neither of us answered. After we had cried enough, I said to her, Charlotte, you can't keep going like this. You have to get proper treatment. I can't live without you. My throat tightened. In this family, my sister was the only person who truly cared about me, so I really couldn't live without her. My sister shook her head numbly. I also want to live a good life, she said quietly. But I just feel like life has no meaning. I pulled her up. Come with me. We rented 2 public bicycles and rode through the night until we reached a building I knew well. I led her inside. Where is this? She asked. This is the place I rent, I replied. She stared at me in surprise. You rented a place outside? Where did you get the money for rent? My mother controlled my money very strictly. Other than tuition and living expenses, I basically had no pocket money at all. I earned it myself, I said. How did you earn money? For tonight, let's just sleep here first. Tomorrow I'll take you to make money. I took her phone. I removed her from the family group chat and blocked our parents' calls. I knew very well that we couldn't rely on our parents to save my sister, so the only thing I could do was try my best myself. Then I called my father using my own phone. I've found my sister, I said. To keep her away from negative energy, I've blocked all the relatives. If you want to contact her, just call me. But instead of my father. My mother's voice came through the phone. Scarlett Sue. Where did you take your sister? Bring her back right now, or I'll call the police. I said coldly. She was about to jump off the bridge. I just saved her. If you want to force her to death, then go ahead and call the police. I'll make sure you lose both of your daughters at once. There was silence on the other end of the line. Then my father's voice came. Scarlett. Dad will listen to you. Just you and your sister. Don't do anything foolish. His voice choked. After all these years, it was the first time I realized that Mr. Sue could cry too. That night, my sister and I slept in the tiny room I had rented. The two of us squeezed together on a narrow single bed and talked for a long time. In truth, I had never hated my sister, because no matter how unfair Mrs. Sue was, my sister had always secretly treated me well. She had helped me many times, and now, it was my turn to help my sister. The next morning, I took my sister out to buy supplies, flour, scallions, and seasonings. In the afternoon, we rode a 3-wheeled cart to the small stall where I sold scallion pancakes. At first, Charlotte Sue was cautious and shy. But when she saw me working so busily that I almost forgot the world around me, she slowly began to relax. Soon she started greeting customers, helping me collect money and give change. I said to her, Charlotte, do you know something? Everyone here gave me a nickname. What nickname? she asked, the scallion pancake she sure. My sister burst out laughing. I laughed too, so hard that tears came to my eyes. In my memory, it had been a very long time since my sister had laughed so happily. Every day she seemed to wear a smiling mask when she faced other people. I hoped that from today onward, she would throw away that mask and truly begin to feel happy. I also encouraged her to learn how to make the pancakes. She was a bit clumsy at first. When the first customer arrived, she panicked and fumbled nervously. I smiled at her, trying to ease her tension. In half a day, we sold 40 pancakes. Each one cost 2 yuan. That evening, my sister watched me count the money with both surprise and excitement. 2 yuan each. So we can actually make money ourselves? That's right, I said. Making money is actually a very interesting thing. During that summer vacation, I took my sister out to sell scallion pancakes every day. In the middle of that busy routine, she unconsciously began to break free from her depression. At the end of the summer holiday, I asked her, "Charlotte, do you still want to go back to school?" "I still want to," she said hesitantly. I nodded. "You can do whatever you want. You can attend a private school, or you can repeat the year. If you don't want to study anymore, you can start a small business too. You can still support yourself. In short, live happily and don't put too much pressure on yourself." In the end, my sister chose to return to school and repeat the year. She really did love studying, and she still wanted to get into a good university. The problem was that our parents had placed far too much pressure on her. My sister returned to school a little earlier. And soon it would also be time for me to start school again. My mother helped me pack my luggage. "Scarlett, take this. Take that too." I stopped her. "Mom, don't bother with me. Don't direct me. I'll arrange my own things." My mother said angrily, "I kindly offered to help you pack your luggage, and you can't even show a little gratitude?" I replied calmly, "From elementary school to high school, every time school started I packed my own luggage. I'm used to it. I don't like other people interfering. Besides, if I don't do well on the exam, will you still care about me? If my sister were the one who scored the highest now, you'd be focusing entirely on her. You wouldn't care at all about what I'm doing." My mother said, "You're still talking about things from when you were little? So many years have passed. Do you still want to keep nitpicking with your mother?" I replied, "You think I'm nitpicking? Why don't you think about the possibility that you're the one nitpicking? It's just that parents have the right to criticize their children, but children aren't allowed to blame their parents. Who do you think you are to criticize me?" She shouted. "Didn't I provide food for you? Didn't I provide clothes for you? Didn't I provide your education?" I answered, "That's your obligation as a parent. Just like when you grow old in the future, I will also provide you with food and clothing and fulfill my duty. But emotionally, we can't be close anymore." I could see that Mrs. Su wanted to reconcile with me, but the way she and I had lived for more than 10 years had already made us strangers. She had never been close to me since I was a child. Now I felt extremely uncomfortable whenever I tried to approach her on my own initiative. Even if I suggested giving her a hug, she would become awkward and stiff. So why should we force ourselves into discomfort? Before leaving, I looked at my mother and said, "When I was little, what I wanted most was for you to trust me, just once. But you never did that. Some wounds last forever. It might take me a very long time to heal them." Dragging my suitcase behind me, I left alone. When I was hailing a taxi at the intersection, my father suddenly drove up. "Scarlett, let Dad take you." I thought maybe I should talk with him for a bit, I opened the door and saw that my mother was sitting in the back seat. For the first time in my life, both of my parents were taking me to school together. I had grown used to being independent and alone, so I felt a little helpless in the face of such sudden affection. After I got into the car, my mother spoke. "This is all my fault. If I hadn't said that you had the fate of a beggar, your grandmother wouldn't have treated you that way." I frowned. What does this have to do with Grandma? She's been gone for many years. My mother explained, "When I was pregnant with you, your grandmother went to see a fortune teller. He calculated that I was carrying twins. After you were born, she went back to the same fortune teller again. He said your sister had a very good fate, but yours was extremely bad." I interrupted her. "Weren't my sister and I twins?" "We were," she said. "But you were born an hour apart. The fortune teller said your sister, who was born first, was the reincarnation of the Wenxiu star, destined to become a top scholar in the future. And you, who were born later, had the fate of a beggar. Cunning, lazy, greedy, and sly, those were supposed to be your traits. In short, your sister would become a filial daughter who could bring wealth and honor to her parents and provide for them in their old age. As for you, your father and I were not supposed to rely on you at all." Because of that prophecy, Mrs. Su had disliked me ever since. Even when I scored high on exams, deep down she still believed that I carried the fate of a beggar, so she said that no matter how good my exam scores were, it was useless. Because of that belief, she spent a huge amount of money training Charlotte Su, while with me she only fulfilled the most basic parental obligations. After hearing what my mother said, I was speechless. "When my sister and I were born, you were only in your 20s, I said. "Why were you so superstitious?" My mother replied, "It's not that we're superstitious. It's that the fortune teller was incredibly accurate. He calculated that your grandmother had lost her own mother when she was 15. He also said that although your grandmother had many children, in the end she could only rely on your father. When she passed away, didn't she live in our house? He also knew that your aunt's marriage was unhappy and that she was often abused by her husband." I interrupted her. "And you believe that? If that fortune teller knew Grandma personally, he could easily know about our family situation from her stories." "At first your mother had doubts," she admitted. "But when I was pregnant with you too, he calculated that I was carrying 2 daughters. That was just luck," I said. "He guessed right once, and you trusted him completely?" My mother insisted stubbornly. "He could say so many things correctly, and he was very famous. Of course he had real ability. That's why I trusted him. Who would have known that he would reverse the fate of the 2 of you?" She continued. "So according to you," I said coldly, "Charlotte was supposed to be the Wenxiu star descending to Earth. And I was supposed to have the fate of a beggar?" My mother had never been willing to face her own mistakes. She always preferred to avoid responsibility. In the past, she had pushed all the blame onto me. But now, because of my excellent results in the college entrance exam, she pushed the blame onto Grandma Su and the fortune teller. In short, the fault was always someone else's. She was never wrong. Without any politeness, I pointed it out. "So you still believe everything you did was completely correct? That you did nothing wrong?" My mother's face suddenly darkened. She had always been used to being strong and dominant at home, and I was the only one who dared to argue back with her. My father quickly stepped in to mediate. "Scarlett, your mother didn't mean any harm. She did everything for your sake and your sister's." I interrupted him. "Dad, you clearly know Mom's favoritism is wrong, yet you always try to please both sides. You protect mom's pride, but in doing so you hurt your own daughter. Do you really care about me and my sister? In the past, the two of you didn't like me and spoiled my sister. Now you don't like my sister anymore and want to spoil me instead? But I don't need that. I've already grown up. And the things you're doing now only hurt my sister even more. I had once walked through storms and rain, so I didn't want my sister to suffer the same thing. I also couldn't understand something. When I was little, my parents clearly didn't like me, but after I grew up, they suddenly started treating me well. I wasn't used to it. Before getting out of the car, I said to my mother, "The reason you liked Charlotte is because she was obedient and gentle. You wanted to control her life. You also wanted to control mine. But you failed from the very beginning, so you gave up on me early." The fortune teller's words were only one reason for my mother's favoritism. A bigger reason was probably that when I was little, I truly wasn't obedient, gentle, or sensible like my sister. My mother wanted to control every aspect of our lives in the name of doing what was best for us. But in the end, nothing good came from it. In her eyes, I became a rebellious child. And my sister was nearly driven insane by her. One more thing, I added, keep some distance from our relatives. Especially don't force my sister to please them. Don't destroy her life just to save face. Maybe nothing I said could truly change my mother. All I hoped was that she could let my sister go. I hoped she would stop using so-called love to suffocate my sister until she could no longer breathe. I hoped that in the future, my sister could be like me, stop caring about what other people said, walk her own path openly and proudly, and move forward toward the rising sun. And with that thought, I stepped forward. Extra chapter. The Diary of Charlotte Sue. I had always been my parents' pride. In the eyes of our relatives, I was the model student. My mother cared deeply about appearances, so she often agreed to relatives' requests. Whenever guests came to the house, she would ask me to play the piano, sing a song, or even dance for everyone. Amid the relatives' fake applause, my mother would be very happy, but I felt like a clown. I had never believed that the parents of other children truly admired my excellence. Every time I performed like a showgirl for the guests, I felt helpless. And I envied my younger sister. She could shout loudly without caring about anyone. She could deliberately drop a teacup. If any relative said something unpleasant, she would directly pour tea onto them. She was very clever. It always looked like an accident. Although she would get scolded by my mother, she could simply run away and avoid facing those relatives. I didn't dare to do that. In the eyes of our relatives, I was a good girl. I was supposed to understand etiquette, be knowledgeable and polite, and maintain the posture of a proper young lady. So I could only smile and respond to their questions, whether those questions were polite or rude. But inside my heart, I felt extremely irritated. The longer it went on, the more meaningless such a life felt. Many times, I wanted to refuse, but I was afraid the relatives would be unhappy. I was afraid my mother would be disappointed. So I could only endure the frustration in my heart and perform like a monkey again and again. I knew my mother wanted my grades to always be the highest, so I studied desperately hard. Every time I ranked first in an exam, my mother would be very happy. But I was not happy. I only felt that I had once again completed a task. At least this time, I hadn't disappointed my mother. During the final semester of 12th grade, I often suffered from insomnia. I told Mrs. Sue, and she became very worried. She took me to see a doctor and bought medicine for me. Quickly take the medicine, she urged. The college entrance exam is coming soon. Don't let your body become weak. I wanted so badly to ask her, could I choose not to take the college entrance exam? But I didn't dare. I didn't want to make her worried or disappointed. After 2 days, I told her that I felt much better and had been sleeping very well. She was relieved and immediately urged me to hurry back to studying. But in truth, my insomnia hadn't improved at all. It had only gotten worse. Several nights before the college entrance exam, I lay awake the entire night, staring at the ceiling until dawn. The more anxious I became, the harder it was to fall asleep. As a result, during the daytime my mind felt foggy and confused. In that state, it was no surprise that I performed poorly during the exam. After the results were announced, I experienced what it felt like to fall from heaven into hell, being ignored, being looked down upon, being disliked. And these were the exact experiences my younger sister had endured from childhood all the way to adulthood. I felt utterly useless. My sister had endured years of hardship and blows. Yet she remained strong. But I had only suffered this kind of treatment for a short time, and I had already collapsed and fallen ill. I was very grateful to my mother for giving me such a wonderful younger sister. When our parents didn't understand me, Scarlet Sue was the only little angel who stayed by my side and gave me strength. My dear sister, we must always support and love each other. Extra Chapter 2, Scarlet Sue's Words of Gratitude. Success never happens by chance. Nor was I the kind of poor student who suddenly staged a dramatic comeback after more than 10 years of failure in the college entrance exam. After all, I am a real person living in the real world. I have no magical cheat codes. But I will never forget that on the road of my growth, there were two people who helped me tremendously. When I was in elementary school, my mother once said something that dealt a devastating blow to me: no matter how well you score, it's useless. Those words deeply wounded my young heart. At the time, I thought to myself, if even my own mother says that my good grades are useless, then why should I try so hard? In those years, I became extremely rebellious. I didn't read books, didn't do homework, and didn't listen obediently in class. Mrs. Sue grew to dislike me more and more. But she was extremely patient with my sister. Whenever Charlotte Sue did well on an assignment, my mother would happily praise her. And if she didn't do well, my mother would patiently comfort her. I had never received that kind of treatment. It wasn't only my mother who disliked me. My father ignored me as well. Even the teachers didn't like me. In class, the teacher often made me stand while listening to the lesson and criticized me for dragging down the overall performance of the class. Gradually, I became even more indifferent and careless. Every semester, I ranked last in the class. Perhaps from that moment on, my parents concluded that I would never amount to anything in life. They completely gave up on me. The turning point in my life came when I was in 5th grade. Our old teacher retired, and a young teacher was transferred to our class. He carefully learned about the background of every student in the class, and soon he also learned that I was the worst student. But he talked with me many times. He didn't criticize or humiliate me. Instead, he spoke with me like a friend. I will always remember the last thing he said to me: "Scarlet Sue, you are very smart. I believe you can become one of the best students in our class. Even though you're currently ranked last, don't worry. Let's try to move up a few positions in every exam. Do you think you can do that?" What I was most grateful for was that he never mentioned my sister. Before that, teachers had always compared me with Charlotte Sue. When they praised her, they naturally criticized me. And when they criticized me, they naturally praised her. But this new teacher never once mentioned Charlotte's name in front of me. At that time, I had only one thought in my mind: everyone else may not believe in me, but this teacher believes in me, so I couldn't betray his trust. From that moment on, I began studying seriously. The teacher was also very patient, helping me make up the lessons I had missed during the past few years. During holidays, my sister would also help tutor me and check my homework. Later she told me that the teacher had asked her to do it, At that time she was only 11 years old. Every day after school she had to attend piano lessons, dance classes, and tutoring sessions arranged by my mother, so she was already extremely busy. The funny thing was that when Mrs. Sue discovered that Charlotte was teaching me lessons, she scolded me for wasting my sister's time and dragging her down. My sister was afraid I would be scolded, so she only dared to tutor me secretly. With the help of my teacher and my sister, I improved greatly. However, I never showed my report cards to my mother anymore. When I graduated from elementary school and entered middle school, my exam scores were still not as good as my sister's, but my teacher was still very happy and encouraged me not to lose heart. However, when I entered middle school, my mother also became suspicious of my grades. She even asked whether the teacher had given me the exam questions in advance. She said, "Mom knows you're still in the stage of compulsory education. Teachers can't fail you or stop you from entering middle school. Anyway, no matter how much your teachers help you, you'll never be as good as your sister." The disappointment and pain I felt toward Mrs. Sue accumulated little by little. Like that, every time I suffered another blow, I would go to visit my elementary school teacher and talk with him. After listening to his advice, my emotions would gradually calm down. Fortunately, I did not disappoint him in the college entrance examination. When I called to tell him the news, he was extremely happy and congratulated me. I said, "Thank you, Mr. Victor Wong. Without you, Scarlett Sue would never have become who she is today." Teacher Wong replied, "You were already outstanding to begin with." Then I talked a little about my sister. I had always believed that Charlotte Sue was very happy, but during the time of the college entrance exam, I finally realized that she wasn't much happier than I was. When I felt sad, I would say it out loud and vent my feelings. She was different. She kept everything buried inside her heart. People often say that kind-hearted individuals are more prone to depression. I don't know whether that's true or not. All I know is that someone like me, if I dislike something, I will fight back, so I won't fall into depression. When my sister walked out of the examination hall, she already knew she had not done well on the test, but she didn't tell anyone. How could she? For more than 10 years, she had been the pride of the entire family. All the parents used her as an example when educating their children, telling them to learn from her, and at the same time, they conveniently added that they absolutely must not learn from Scarlett Sue. My sister had carried too many halos of praise on her shoulders, and now those halos had suddenly vanished. How could she possibly bear it? When the college entrance exam results were finally released, her score was revealed. She collapsed. Fortunately, my sister did not give up on herself. Otherwise, no matter how much I tried to help her, she would never have been able to break free. Now, when I see her laughing loudly without any concern for her image, just like I do, I feel a deep sense of comfort in my heart. Sister, for the rest of our lives, we must both live well. The end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Love Stories with Lisa for more stories. Thank you so much.